I just wanted to shout out and send some love to the hungry homeschooling moms who are being driven absolutely crazed by their cravings as they're taking care of kids at home. All of a sudden being thrust into homeschooling and having to do everything from home and everybody being packed up all in one place. It can be insane and drive you crazy at any age. So recently I started something for the subscribers in my the Juicy Woman group, and it is Ask Andrea. And one of the women who reached out to me with several questions was Tina. And I wanted to answer some of Tina's questions. She recently purchased my $9 Losing Weight Without Dieting program, and she has some issues around feeling completely overwhelmed around wanting to eat everything that she's preparing for kids. Oh my gosh, can you relate? I mean, I remember back in the days when I had young kids and and this wasn't even during COVID. I remember feeling completely compelled to eat the rest of the macaroni and cheese on their plates, or if my daughter would leave her pancakes, I'd have to eat the whole thing, or eating peanut butter and jelly crusts for a snack. Whatever it was, you just felt like you had to eat every single thing that the little ones have left on their plate. Or even if you're preparing the food and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, that looks so much better than what I'm planning on eating. So in this particular instance, I wanted to talk about what happens when you feel like you have to eat everything that whoever the they is. Maybe it's not a question of having children. Maybe it's, a husband or a friend, and you're out. All of a sudden, whatever it is that you see, whatever food it is that you see that you didn't want before you saw it, all of a sudden you want it. That is your first indicator. That is not about hunger. So that's your first indicator that this issue has nothing to do with hunger. Because what's really happening is deprivation is being rattled in your cage. Your feelings of deprivation, no matter what that looks like for you, whether it looks like being actually deprived of eating the foods that you loved when you were a kid, or being told that they were fattening, you couldn't eat them, all of those types of feelings and beliefs around food. Well, right now, being thrust into a situation where you are a prisoner 24/7, where you and food and the refrigerator are all in a constant battle, that's what's going on. I'm going to read Tina's question. I've known about EFT for a while, and I've used it on and off. And I've never been able to use EFT in the moment of having a craving, but later in the day, I can, because I'll have time to address it. Okay, if you're not familiar with EFT, it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And basically what that is the you have certain points on your body that correspond to acupressure endpoints. It's the same as if you go for an acupressure treatment. Oh my gosh, remember those? When a practitioner would insert a needle into different points and places on your body, and that needle, when it would penetrate your skin, it would create a soothing and a calming sensation, because it would activate a part of your brain that would turn off that constant feeling of stress, like tension and pressure and feeling you're under the gun all the time. So instead of having to rely on a practitioner's needles, you can actually do EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, with your fingertips. And that is basically by tapping on those acupressure endpoints. You'll be tapping on them, and what that does, it sends the same calming signal to your brain and your body, so that you have an awareness like you're not going to die. You're going to be okay. But this particular video is not about EFT, so I want to move in a whole different direction. There are other videos that you can get where I'll talk more about EFT. But I want to talk about the challenge, the daily challenge, and the daily struggle of taking care of children. As much as we love it, we love, love, love spending time with our kids, if it's something that all of a sudden you've been like plunged into a situation of having the whole family home, everybody's working from home, you're taking care of little kids, oh my God, your stress has just gone through the roof. This is not a commentary on, not loving your kids, not caring for your kids. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that your routine has been completely disrupted. I was lucky enough to have run my family's real estate business from my grandmother's home, so I pretty much raised my kids within a home atmosphere while I was able to work. And one of the things that I learned was so important was to squeeze fun out of everything that you do when you're taking care of little ones. Because the more that you can keep them happy and playful and engaged, the happier you as mom are. And if you can ease their stress, if you can calm them and help them to deal with their tremendous amount of energy so that they don't get overwhelmed, and the happier the whole family is going to be. I have a number of suggestions for you. First, I want to deal with the practical issues that you mentioned, is that whenever you're preparing food for the kids, you get this sense that you just want to eat whatever it is. You just feel overcome by sensations of hunger, and you just feel like, I got to eat it. And you did mention that it has more salt and it has more sugar than foods that you would tend to eat. That tells me that there's some aspect and some element of you feeling a sense of deprivation around the choices that you've made for eating. So in my Losing Weight Without Dieting program, which you've just purchased, it's really important. Lesson number 1 is all about rejecting the diet mentality. And the reason why is because it takes an incredible burden off of you of having to count calories, having to count points, having to be mindful of portions, having to, say, oh, well, this has 100, 300 grams of sodium, or this has 8 grams of sugar. No, none of that. That's a lot of pressure. And if you've been a dieter for any length of time, you know that by keeping yourself focused, hyper-focused on what you are eating and the quality of food that you're eating can bring up so many emotions. It can bring up feelings of shame. It can make you feel guilty. It can make you feel angry with yourself. It's all dependent upon the rules that you have around those foods. You mentioned that you tend to gravitate toward 2 different options of breakfasts, one of which is an uncooked version and the other, which takes a little longer, which is a cooked version, and that you have 3 different types of basic lunches, and that dinner is whatever it is that you're cooking for the family. Well, I would challenge you to expand your repertoire just a little bit more, because what your body is telling you through that hunger is that you're feeling the need for something else. You're feeling the need for more. I don't know what the more is. That's up to you to decide. But as a mom, it is essential for you to have food on hand that you could just grab and go in a minute. So a couple of things that I want to share some ideas with you that may work for you is freezer meals. Freezer meals are the absolute and total bomb. And it's amazing the things that can be frozen. For example, did you know that peanut butter and jelly sandwiches can be frozen, can be made ahead and frozen, and they are amazing? Did you know that you could make, like, I don't know if you're a meat eater, but you could make like a tortilla. You could put a tortilla, get a tortilla, put some mayonnaise or some kind of spread. Anything that is fat-based, like mayonnaise or olive oil or butter or anything like that, that will preserve and protect and create a layer to protect your bread base, whether it's a tortilla, a bread, a pancake, anything like that. By spreading that layer of some type of a fat, that will protect your bread from getting soggy. So in this case, with the peanut butter, spreading that on bread, by having the peanut butter and the jelly, first you've got your bread, you spread one piece of bread with peanut butter, then you spread another piece of bread with peanut butter, and then you spread each of them with some jelly. By having that insulation, that protection of the double layer of the peanut butter, protecting both parts of the bread, you're not going to get like a whole jelly wet mess when you go to take out the sandwich and microwave it or leave it on the counter to defrost. The same thing with maybe a tortilla with some chicken or turkey with some cheese, some kind of like mayonnaise based or some kind of a fat based dressing. You don't want to use vegetables like tomatoes don't freeze well. Carrots do freeze well, but you really don't want carrots in a sandwich. But that type of a thing. So those are grab and goes. And another is pancakes. You could make pancakes ahead and roll them up with maybe peanut butter and jelly or cream cheese and jelly or anything like that. And that's great for the kids. That's great for you. Those are some ideas. Another is to do like a meat-based or vegetable-based chili and make it in larger amounts, and that is fabulous because you could just make a big pot, put it in freezer serving packages, and you're good to go for a really long time. All you have to do is take out a package or several, however many kids and family are there for the meal, and just you're good. Rice also freezes really well. So what I want to suggest to you overall basically is to find ways that you could spend more time having fun and being a part of creating an incredibly new and unique experience with your children, because this is a moment. You've been given a precious moment in time, despite the fact that we're all dealing with the fear and the threat of COVID. We have all kind of learned to adjust and to see a new normal, that we can handle this new normal. So as a mom, what you need to do is you need to be the example for your children, to show them that we're going to be okay. We can handle this. You can handle that. They will be able to handle tough situations when they face them in their future. Now, the reason why I'm not talking about focusing on dealing with your cravings is because your cravings are like the indicator on the gas gauge in your car. They are not the problem. They are a symptom of something else that is the problem. So in this case, the problem is feeling overwhelmed, feeling frustrated, feeling anxious, because all of a sudden you have time on your hands that you didn't have before. And as you mentioned, that it is in many ways a tremendous blessing being home with the children, because you're not taxiing them back and forth, and you're not all of a sudden spending all of your time running around, going from after school activities to picking them up and bringing them back to school, and you're no longer living your life according to someone else's schedule. You are now being given an opportunity to see what it's like to have a greater sense of being in control of your own time. And that is big. That's really, really big. So Tina, since you have my program, Losing Weight, my $9 program, Losing Weight Without Dieting, week 2 is all about learning how to pay attention to your hunger and discovering what does that look like for you. Noticing what is the sensation you're feeling in your body that tells you, I'm hungry. Looking at your watch and saying, oh, it's 12 o'clock, it must be time to eat. No. That's practical hunger. That's another thing that we discuss in the course. When you get that sensation of, wow, I'm really hungry, I'm feeling this sensation of like warmth or swirling in my stomach, and I'm getting a feeling of running up from the back of me to the front of me that I feel like it's a heady feeling or kind of dizzy, that's what physical hunger looks like. Because physical hunger is actually a reaction, a consequence of the energy in your body getting depleted. And you, just like a car, need to be refueled. When you find yourself acting maybe a little grouchier or feeling a little snippety or feeling like headachy or tired, those are all results of being hungry. Now, my recommendation is, since you say that you have young children and meal times, your meal times are basically being spent kind of juggling the kids, making sure that everything is okay and everybody is safe, eating in their high chairs, making sure that the kids are fed. That is a lot of stress on you. You've got to be easy with yourself, because it's no wonder that you're feeling pressured to eat all the foods that you would not normally choose as your, meals or food plans. You've got to realize that being in this position of this quarantine situation and the threat that we're all under, and dealing with all of the fears that is coming from the children, or watching the news, or hearing your friends talk, scrolling through your Facebook page. These are all situations where you are consuming fear. And by sitting down and having your only mealtime be a space in your day where you're juggling and making sure you're the caregiver. You are the children's caregiver, making sure that they are fed and that they are happy. That doesn't make for a happy you. One of the things that I used to do when my son was really, really young was that I would make him like a bowl of pasta with some spinach and some other kinds of vegetables that I blended up in the blender, in the pasta sauce. And I would give him a bath before dinner, and I would let him have the food in the tub, and he could paint the tiles of the tub with spinach and tomato sauce, and it was all good. It was like all good. Didn't matter to me. Yeah, it sounds to me like you have young kids. So instead of being upset by having to deal with the mess and the little bit of chaos that comes from children and meal times, kind of plan for it and make room to have fun with it. So I know that you're going to be creative and you're going to figure out ways to do this. My thing was the bathtub because it's so easy to clean up. The other thing I wanted to share with you is a couple of books that are absolutely fabulous. I don't know if you've ever heard of Barbara Sher, S-H-E-R. She was an amazing woman. She passed away on Tuesday. And she started out as a, I believe, occupational therapist. And she did a lot of work in child development. And then from there, she went on to help others to kind of create their own dreams. So what I want to suggest, Barbara Sher wrote several books. One of them is called Self-esteem Games. Yeah, Self-esteem Games. The other is called Spirit Games, 300 Fun Activities that bring children comfort and joy. And Self-Esteem Games is 300 fun activities that make children feel good about themselves. Holy hat, as my Grammy would say, you have to get this. Between these two, it's 600 activities that you can do with your kids. And all of Barbara's work is based around teaching people that they can go for their dreams, that nothing was stopping them, just isolation. Isolation is the dream killer, as she used to say. So what I want to recommend to you is to find a friend, do Zoom chats with a friend. If you have a church group or some other connection, find some way of doing virtual chats with them, or a coach, or anybody who you feel a resonance with, that gets you, that understands you. Because your inclination to go for the food, to go for the sugary and the salty food, that's more just a warning that your body is giving you, saying, hey, pay attention to me. I need something. I need something else. I need to break out of this 2 meal a day and 3 lunch a day restrictive circumstance. So I want you to attack this on several different ends. I'm challenging you to push the boundaries of your cooking or of the meals that you're making. Change them. Find new cookbooks that you like. Look for new cookbooks. See if you can find something online. Go on YouTube. Oh my gosh, YouTube is amazing. YouTube has so much available. Pinterest, you could go on Pinterest and find some fabulous things. But look at the reality of this hunger and this craving that you're feeling, wanting to eat the kids' food, and have that recognition for yourself and self-compassion. realizing that that is your body's way of saying you want more. Now, another thing I recommend is, this is another book. It's called Meditating with Children, and it's called The Art of Concentration and Centering. As a mom, now you have an incredible golden opportunity in that for any length of time, we don't quite know how long, your kids will no longer be the domain of the school system. Now you get to teach them some things that you want to teach them, some things that are truly valuable. You're not teaching for the purpose, like teachers are pressured to teach their students according to a test. You can give your children life skills. And one of the things that I talk about in the Losing Weight Without Dieting program is the role of stress relief and dealing with constantly, consistently being mindful and managing your stress and knowing the things that are bugging you and gradually crossing them off the list, saying, okay, handled that, handled that, handled that. I cannot speak more highly of any one single stress relief method than meditation. You talk about having a goal of wanting to lose weight, but feeling like in a quandary because you're saying, yes, I want to lose weight, but I also have a lot of frustration because I just want to eat all that food, whatever it is, and feeling like a small amount or a reasonable, any certain amount will not be enough. That is not your body talking, okay? Our bodies only have a finite amount of space in terms of volume. I think it's about one fistful of, food, which is maybe a couple of cups. The rest of the food that we consume is not for the purposes of feeding our body. It's feeding our emotions. It's managing, it's a way, it's a learned habit, a way of dealing with stress that so many of us have learned. And what I want to challenge you to do is to create a more calming atmosphere in the family and taking back the reins and saying, okay, we're going to do things a little bit differently now. Okay, because everybody needs to have their quiet space. And this is also an opportunity for you to teach the children by way of experiencing the value of them being able to connect, to have an awareness of something greater than themselves, their purpose, their feeling of connection to nature, and a sense of calm and peace that nothing else can provide. Over the past year, that's when I lost 20 pounds using the foundational principles of my Losing Weight Without Dieting program, and going further and really being very, very intentional and doing meditating on a daily basis. And here, as you say, the worst place for me to be is to be feeling hungry and saying to myself, what am I going to eat? When you're asking yourself that, you have to ask yourself, what am I really hungry for? Go back to that lesson 2 in the Losing Weight Without Dieting program, where I teach you how to do the Tapas acupressure technique, where you're basically putting one hand behind your neck and another hand holding your forehead and recline back in a more comfortable position. I definitely recommend being like lying down, and for 5 minutes keep your eyes closed and you say, what do I really want? And just kind of let that question float around in your head. And you will be shocked when you notice that many times you're just not going to be hungry. Because by creating a new foundation of laying down new boundaries with the kids and saying, hey, we all need to have time. Barbara Sher started out after she was divorced, a 35-year-old single mom with 2 children, 2 little boys. And there's an absolutely delightful TEDx talk that I'm going to share with you in the link below for you to watch her TEDx talk, talking about how she moved from being a 35-year-old divorced mom, single mom of 2 kids, 2 little boys, to helping people to fulfill their dreams. It will really give you a sense of realization that you can do this. So in those days when she was alone, after she had divorced, she said that she didn't have any money, so she went to stay in welfare hotels in New York City with the kids. And we don't know if she's joking, but she says that there were cockroaches on the wall, and those were, she considered them to be early computer games for the kids, and they would name the cockroaches, which is a little gross, but it definitely shows you like the spirit of playfulness that she brought to being a mom. And so she created these 2 books and many more on helping children grow up strong and healthy and confident, because she knew by being with 2 little boys, raising them in a welfare hotel in New York City, that tough things happen and you have to make the best out of what you have. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So what I want to suggest to you is to spend more time having fun with the children, finding ways of having fun so that you could all be a part of the fun, and not focusing on what you can't do, but focusing on what you can do. And teaching the kids about this incredible ability that they have to use their mind and their thoughts and to be aware of their feelings, as Barbara's games teach. It's going to help you so much. So when you're standing there and you're making food for the kids, after you've eaten, okay, and you're making food for the kids, that food that you're making for them is not going to bother you one little bit. Because if you go back to lesson 1 and you re-experience food using the mindful and gentle eating process, which I teach throughout, which I recommend to do throughout the entire Losing Weight Without Dieting program, you will have that experience for yourself, if you have not already, of having the awareness of the way food tastes. By being able to slow down and intentionally be aware of the food and the flavors and the memories and associations that food has for you, you'll be able to capture all the good stuff without needing the crutch of the food. And as I explained, when you give yourself permission to eat whatever it is that you want, however much you want of it, you're not going to want to eat that food to the excess that you may have in the past. So this is why I'm feeling very, very called to challenge you to expand your repertoire, and find other foods that you can be interested in, and to realize that by focusing on all of the externals, trying to control your food and be, putting some food as like off limits or restricted, you're setting up a situation where you're climbing up a hill. It's making it more difficult. If you've ever been hungry, the family's been hungry, and you put some pasta on to boil, everybody says, when are we going to eat? When are we going to eat? When are we going to eat? Well, you can't be watching that pasta boil. You can't be watching that water boil, because it will never, ever happen. So turn away, move away from the goal of wanting to lose weight, because it puts so much pressure on you. Just let it happen. Let it unfold as a circumstance of you being happier in your life, being happier with your kids, having more freedom to do what you want, and figuring out what passion fuels you. So I think that I've answered all your questions. I wish you good luck. I know you're going to be amazing. And if, like Tina, you want to share your questions and your concerns or issues that you have around losing weight without dieting, I want you to write to me. You could either on my contact page on my website, thejuicywoman.com, or you could leave a note in the comments right here. Let me know what you'd like me to do future videos on, and I'll be happy to help you out. All right, so have a great, great day, and remember, you can do this. We're going to get through this tough time. We're going to do it together.